I wasn't just saying that to like, that's not one of those loaded questions. I missed you. Just waiting for you to say you missed me. No, that wasn't. So we got a special night tonight. It's going to be good. Real quick, though, I got to do, how many of you were here when I had to put like my dad outfit on and do my dad talk with y'all? When we lost snacks for a while? Okay. So this is one of those unfun things. I'm just going to start with this to get it out of the way. So we can't do gummies anymore because somebody thought it'd be awesome to smash them into the carpet. And you guys, this part of the, what's the one thing we ask of you while you're here? Respect the stuff, the place, everything we've got here. So, and then I just got to report that someone thought it'd be fun to have like a water fight in the men's bathroom. So, come on, guys, come on, for real. Like, we don't want to have to send you outside to go to the bathroom, guys. I'm just kidding about that, but for real, respect. We're big about that. That's the one thing we ask of you guys while you're here. Be respectful of each other, the place, the opportunity we have to come together. So. Also, y'all, somebody's not making the walk to the trash can and been sticking trash under the couches over there. So if that continues to happen, y'all won't be able to sit on those couches on Wednesday nights. So, yeah, these are the things I get to hear when I walk into the office from people. So please, y'all, you can do this, okay? You can walk to the trash can. You can keep the food out of here. Keep it out there, okay? We got this? Sweet. Yay. Woo. Okay. So on to some bigger and better things. We got some birthdays to celebrate this week. So Sunday we had 3 people celebrate their birthday. We had Kaya, Elena, and Gavin celebrated his birthday. I think he's somewhere. There he is. Happy birthday on Sunday, Gavin. Yeah. Then yesterday, Connor celebrated his birthday. Happy birthday yesterday. I didn't see if he was here tonight, but tomorrow is Silas's birthday. Happy birthday, Silas. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, Silas's birthday tomorrow. If you got his number, shoot him a text tomorrow. Wish him happy birthday. Or get him tonight. Say happy birthday tomorrow. So, and then Saturday, Hayden's celebrating his birthday on Saturday. So, happy birthday, all y'all. We love you. If you are here tonight, come see me afterwards. We'll give you your birthday snack. And also, if you're here for the first time tonight, welcome. I'm Pastor Keith, if I didn't already say that. We are the 412. We are young, unashamed, imperfect examples who serve a perfect Savior. And who's that? Jesus. Yes. So, got that. If you don't have a Bible and you would like one, we would love to give one to you. On the other side of the big room out there, the foyer, there's a bunch of Bibles on a desk on the other side of the foosball tables. Grab one, take it home with you, make it your own. Everybody needs a Bible. We got notebooks too, which I put right in front of the door, so it's really hard to miss them now. So if you want to take notes, and I encourage you guys, take notes, because you hear something once, and you might be like, man, that was so good. Write it down so you can go back to that. It's good stuff, a good habit to get into. Our fall retreat's coming up in a few weeks at Cran Hill, so some of y'all started signing up today once I messaged your parents, so that's like as soon as I send a message out to your parents, all of a sudden there's like 5 emails that come in. So there is information sheets out at the desk you can bring home. It's 2 nights, October 7th through 9th. All the other details are out there. I'm not going to bore you with them now because you're not going to remember most of what I'm saying anyway. So we got that, the Cran Hill retreat, and then kind of a bittersweet thing, next Wednesday, we have a guest speaker, and we have a guest speaker because it's his last Wednesday with us, and that's Gavin. So if you didn't know, he's going to lead worship at Lighthouse Church, where the Grandies went. So he's going to bring the word next week. I'm excited for that, but it's also his last Sunday with us. So, but it's going to be a good one. Or last Wednesday with us. But it's going to be a good one, right? You guarantee it, Gavin? Perfect. There we go. Just set you up for that. So. Okay, so I think that's about all I have. I don't want to take much more time here. So we have someone that's coming in tonight, a guest speaker. And the craziest thing, I love how things work out. I got a text earlier today from Kevin Phillips. How many of you all remember Kevin? 412, yeah. So Kevin messages me, and he says, dude, the guy that you have speaking tonight at 412, I know him. So he's a fellow graduate of Kuiper, where Kevin's going right now, and he's from an organization called Protect Young Eyes. So he's going to come up, bring a great word, message, whatever we want to call it. It's going to be good. But this is Isaac. Give it up for Isaac. Did I give you a different mic or
this good if I use this guy's? All right, awesome, cool. Hey, everybody, welcome, hello. Thank you for letting me, that one is yours, yes. Keith and I are so close now, we share water bottles, true story. Just kidding. No, you'll see on the screen here, you're like, you matter. That's really awesome. But I want to make a big emphasis on this. If you get nothing else from this message, which I hope you at least get something else, right? I want you to know that you matter, and you are extremely, extremely important, and you are very valuable. So real quick, I want you to look at your buddy, look whoever's next to you, and tell them you matter, poke them, bother them, do whatever. You matter, you matter. Let them know that you're important. Some of you guys are cringing. It's fine. You guys all matter. Fantastic. Well, my name is Isaac, like Keith said. Yes, very funny. I graduated from Kuiper College and got to know Kevin over there. He started serving at the church that I was also at, so he's doing some really cool stuff in Grand Rapids area in youth ministry. So if you guys know him, shoot him a text. Tell him that really cool guy was here that you know. He's way better and cooler than you. Just kidding. No, Kevin's awesome. He's wonderful. So that's such a funny connection. Yes, my name is Isaac. This is my family. This was my younger brother's graduation for high school earlier this spring, right there in the middle, obviously. How many of you guys are seniors? Woo! We got one senior. All right. Hopefully, right, this is you at the end of this school year, right? Obviously, there's myself. That's my mom. She homeschooled all three of us boys there. Older brother on there, middle, me. Amazing mom. Homeschooled us all. Incredible. My dad over there, you'll notice his complexion a little different. He actually comes from the Middle East, was born in a small, super small country, Bahrain, and he has a really amazing, incredible story of how Jesus kind of just captured his life, and he came over to the States and met my mom. And then there's my older brother, Noah, all the way there, flexing that watch. How many of you guys know who Phil Wickham is, worship artist? My brother does all his videos. My brother lives out in California and films all Phil Wickham's stuff. He was on tour with Hillsong and Chris Tomlin. He's just crushing it, killing it, doing some really cool stuff in the Christian industry out in California. So really, like, what am I talking about tonight, right? Like, what? Okay, cool. This guy knows some people from here. He knows people that knows other people. Interesting, whatever. He's here to tell us we matter. That's cool. But really, I want this to be a space where we can just kind of pause from the daily norm of stuff that's going on and just kind of open up a conversation that you guys probably had a few times, but especially in the terms of technology and how we use that correctly and how we can use that in a God-honoring way, right? Kind of just set up a space where we can talk comfortably about that. We can talk openly, honestly. I don't want there to be any shame about anything that's going to be going on. I don't want any guilt. I want all that to be removed and just let us know, like, this is a safe place, right? So we're just going to kind of pause, safe place, or talk about what in the world is going on. So this is kind of what we're going to go through. It's kind of who am I, right, our identity, and then looking at do I matter? What is my value? Where does that come from? How do I find these things? The world often tries to tell you a lot of different things about this. They try to tell you your identity. They try to tell you your value. And we want to focus more in on God and remember that's where identity and value comes from. So let's look at some stuff here. Obviously the planet, right? We got to start from the beginning. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Right? You're like, I've heard this 800,000 times because I go to church. You know what I mean? But maybe you haven't heard that, right? And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And this is really, really significant because how many of you guys play Minecraft? Yeah, we got a bunch of Minecrafters in here. All right, even Keith. He's out there gaming. Don't let him confuse you. Or if you're an engineer or something, if you like building stuff with your hands, when you make something, how often do you make that with zero purpose and just for no reason? Yeah, actually maybe a little bit. More often than not, right, you're probably making something with a specific purpose, a specific design, a specific plan. And that is exactly how God made us, right? God created human beings in his own image. He made us. Those are some of the most beautiful words found in the Bible, to know that out of everything that God made in all of creation, all the universe, and all the galaxies of all this stuff that's going on, we are set apart from that. And we are distinct and unique and valuable, and you matter, and you're important. It's a big deal, and that's where our identity comes from, right, is being in the image of God, known that we are created from the Creator, right, and he poured out his own image into us. That's fantastic. It's amazing. It is a wonderful, wonderful truth, and that's where our identity should come from, because if we root our identity knowing that we come from the image of God, our identity doesn't change, right, because God never changes. That fact never changes. So even though we might go through personal hardships and troubles, we know that we're sound, and we know that our identity actually remains the same. We're an image of God. Right? Kind of answers, who am I? I am fearfully and wonderfully made, as the psalmist puts it. How many people have had a mental breakdown? Woo, mental breakdown. I have been, you're like, dude, school just started. I had one this morning, right? Like, you know what I mean? I think it's been in the hardest moments of my own anxiety and fear where I've realized who made me, dude? What is going on in my head? I am fearfully and wonderfully made, I'll tell you, right? My imagination can do some pretty amazing things, and while that's like frightening at times, it is also kind of amazing, and there's that awe and wonder to, yeah, my brain is pretty incredible. We'll talk some more about that. Right, and so the world will tell us that your identity comes from Snapchat or from all these different social media platforms that try to grab your attention. How many of you guys have a Snapchat streak? Gosh, it's so hard to say. All right, let's see. Keep your hand up if you have a streak over 500. Okay. Oh, wait, okay. How about 400? Ooh, we got a 400. What is it? What's the number? 450. What you got? 1,400? 110. You. Actually? He's capping. So yes, so obviously, right, this is a big part of our culture and identity, especially as a young person. It's often like this is desirable. You want to have that streak. You want to show that number. You want to be connecting with your friends, and you want to be posting stuff online. How many of you guys, love TikTok, right? I remember if maybe you blew up, maybe you went viral, maybe you posted something, got a bunch of likes, got a bunch of comments. I remember I woke up one day and I had like 400 notifications on my phone. I went, hey, that's pretty cool. I had like a comment that people liked, apparently. The top comment had like 12,000 likes, so I guess it really wasn't that important. But it made me feel pretty cool, right? Because there's this thing in our brain, dopamine, that's released when we get this kind of reaction, when we like something, or when someone likes something that we posted, when we post something, someone comments, someone says, dude, that looks sick, nice, that's awesome, right? And there's this little hit in our brain that goes, let's make that happen again. Let's do that again, right? And so it gets you in this mindset of like, I need to keep posting, I need to keep showing this, I need to create my digital online life, right? Like your Instagram feed is like all aesthetic and it's like the perfect picture of who you actually aren't, right? But it becomes our identity, right? And I think Instagram, absolutely grabs at that idea. And they were originally founded to become like the real, your real self, which is very funny now looking at it. Yeah, right? Sean Parker is the founding president of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg did more of the software kind of development, but he did kind of the business side. And so he has this quote that says, we knew what we were doing, and we did it anyway. And what he's referencing is talking about in an interview when they were telling this interviewer about how their design for that Facebook, right? Because Facebook was, now it's kind of like, well, that's a boomer app. But now it's like, when it first came about, it was kind of the first of its thing. The closest thing probably was MySpace before it. You're like, now that's a boomer app. But Facebook was really revolutionary in that sense, and it really set the tone and the stage for all these other previous apps because of how successful Facebook was. And really what they wanted to do was capture your brain. They wanted to capture that addictive part of you that every time you get a like, every time you post, every time you comment, every time you share, you get that number and it goes up, and you're like, this is amazing. I want to spend as much time on this as I can. And he says, we knew what we were doing. We knew we were mentally manipulating people to spend as much time on here, and we did it anyway. They did it for money. They didn't do it because they love you or because they created you or any of that stuff, right? God's the one who loves you and creates you and brings value into your life and shows you who you are. Facebook was just like, we just wanted to abuse your time and wanted to make sure you just got sucked into the screen. And so we have to be careful when we're using our technology, right? We have to be careful when we're out there how much time we spend on our devices, because they're not designed for our benefit in a lot of ways. And so then looking into, do I matter, right? What is my value? I'm going to start showing you some really expensive things. Here's a Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci. This is one of his most expensive paintings. It goes for $450 million. It's a painting. That's pretty cool. Buckingham Palace, I don't think they'd ever sell it, but it's an estimated price of $5 billion, one of the most expensive places on the planet. If you are a car person, here's a 1955 Mercedes-Benz. Can't say the rest. So which means the tire there probably costs as much as my college tuition, right? But how many of you guys would actually pay any attention? How many of you guys would actually care about these things if those price tags were removed? If I didn't have that up there, you might see a picture and go, well, that's pretty cool. I like art. I like history. That's pretty awesome. Some of you be like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a picture. Buckingham Palace, you might go, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like architecture. I like history. That's pretty cool. Without that price tag, you might just be like, yeah, it's just a place, though. Here, if you're a car person, you're still like, dude, that's the coolest thing you've shown all night, right? But without that price tag, if you're not really into cars, you're going, okay, it's a cool car. And so we begin to think and we begin to process at such a young age around here, especially that money equals value, right? That things that are expensive are valuable. And why are you guys in school, right? I'm in school so I can go to a good college. And I'm in a good college so I can get a good job. And I get a good job so I can have good money, right? That's kind of what the world's, and then you get to retire at 60 and live your dream. And that's kind of how the world presents itself. And maybe you're like, well, I'm not about the money stuff, actually. I really don't mind. I just want to be passionate about what I do. I want to live a life where I enjoy myself. So maybe your value, you're thinking in your head, well, it comes from being liked. It comes from being popular. It comes from having people like me. I love that, right? But those things don't last. They are not lasting. Ecclesiastes, written by Solomon, who had, right, the story of Solomon, I mean, he gets pretty much the grandest choice ever. Do you want all the wisdom or all the wealth? And he says, I'll take all the wisdom. And God goes, bingo, and I'll also give you all the wealth. And Solomon kind of flushed it down the toilet. He had everything he could ever want in a human life, right? He had all the knowledge and wisdom. He had everything materially and relationally possible. And he comes up with some of the most depressing words, right? Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. All was vanity, or in other words, everything was meaningless. So to work your entire life and get to a point where you look at everything you have and go, this is a bunch of junk, and I don't care about any of it, and it doesn't make me feel any better. You're like, dude, I didn't come to church to get depressed. Right? But that's the reality of what the world is preaching to us. That they're telling us this is where your value comes from, is what you own and what you do. And Solomon reminds us, I had all of it, and it didn't matter. And so we do find our true love, or our true worth and value from God's love, right? God showed his love by sending Jesus, right? Jesus is the prime example of the sacrificial love where he died for you in your place to take the sin that we committed. And it's through Jesus that we have our value, through the cross and the resurrection life, right? It's through that we find our value. And so who am I? I am the one for whom Christ died. Romans. Fantastic book, Romans. So you are valuable. You do matter. You're rooted in the image of God, and your identity is from a creator who made you with a purpose, with a plan. You're not an accident. You weren't created, just by fault. It wasn't just a random incident that, he's here, whatever, meaningless, he'll die, and then you'll move on. You matter. You're valuable. Nothing will ever be like you again. You're completely unique and incredible. And not only that, you matter. You matter so much that God died on the cross for you. That he said, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. I'm gonna sacrifice my son in your place because you are so worth it. And I do it again, and I do it every day. And it's an amazing truth of grace we get to walk into. And so our value doesn't come from Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram. Our value is rooted in God and knowing that we are the ones for whom Christ died for. Really humbling thing. I remember seeing this phrase go up a few years ago of I've never met a person Jesus didn't die for. That puts you in some perspective of all humanity, right? We're all equal in that way. And so we have a video about You Matter. This is my friend Ryan. He's going to kind of have a little video break here. We're just going to kind of sum up a little bit what I've talked about and then dive into some other stuff. So take a look at this.
Hey friends. I'm just dropping in to make sure you know how valuable, amazing, and truly unique you are. It's a crazy time. Negative news is everywhere, and we're constantly connected to everything around us, which can be way too much. Although scrolling and posting and commenting aren't all bad, for some of you, you're headed down a path where you don't love what you see. You don't love how you feel. And maybe you've started to have thoughts that you don't like. Is it anxiety? Is it depression? I'm not sure. But I'm telling you that I hope you reach out. you probably won't be able to figure out those feelings on your own. That doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you're human. So this is me saying, if you feel it, talk about it. If you see someone hurting, be good and kind to them. Listen, don't talk. If you see something that gives you that strange feeling like something is really wrong, then don't ignore that. You're probably right. The earth needs you. You are the only you, with your unique combination of characteristics and gifts and talents and interests that ever has and ever will exist. And that's really what I wanted to tell you. You are important, you are valuable, and you are irreplaceable.
Some great words. Just want to thank you. Yeah, you can clap for him, right? But yeah, I just want to go back to that part of when he was talking about, anxiety and depression. I know, understand you guys are in the topic of mental health, right? And so acknowledging that is so, so important and so crucial to be capable mentally, and also to know, like, it's okay to have faults in that, and that there are people around you that can be really, really incredible. I see a counselor on a regular basis because it has drastically helped what I go through. So don't be ashamed of that. I know there's a lot of embarrassment of, like, going to a counselor and all these things. Schools offer counselors for free, and it is a fantastic opportunity to grab that and start working on that as soon as possible. I could not push that enough. I know it's going to be a scary and confusing thing to go in there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to counseling. What do I say? What do I talk about? I don't know. But they're literally trained professionals who get paid not to judge you and get paid to help you, and they love what they do most of the time. So, yes, and so reminding our identity and value are rooted in God, as Ryan said, right? You are important, you are valuable, you matter. You matter. And so follow a train of thought with me here, right? If you matter, and we can assume number 2, except for the 6th grade boys, right? You are human, so therefore humans matter. And so if humans matter, then kind of your whole human experience matters, right? What you see matters, and your brain matters. There was a study that was done back in 2014, so this might be a little bit of outdated information, but still pretty impressive to think about. One of the fastest supercomputers at the time was competing against a person that had, kind of brain activity hooked up. They were going to try to see who can process information fastest. So who do you think won, the human brain or one of the fastest computers about 10 years ago? Brain, the computer, the brain, the computer. It took the computer 40 minutes to process 1 second of brain activity. Your brain is amazing. It matters, and for most of the people in this room, it's still developing, right? And it's still creating. It's still happening. It's still working on things, learning new things. Like I said, with those dopamine pathways, when your brain gets that, it's creating a pathway that's saying, let's do that again. And that can be a dangerous thing. It can be a good thing, right? But your brain matters. What you see matters. God has given us a great gift. And who knows what this image is all about? Yeah, do you want to? These are the bombings, of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. And what was so interesting is that, and horrific, right, and terrible, is that the heat burned the images of the people onto the pavement, onto the sidewalk, onto the stairs. You can even see the cane and the ladder that was there. And I show this because images stick with us. It's very hard to forget what you see, especially in the form of a picture or a video. And so next time you see this, you're gonna know it immediately, right? Because it's a very specific kind of picture. What you see matters, because it's very hard to forget, and it's very easy to see things we don't want to see. And it's very easy to not forget those things, both in person and online. And so we're going to talk about pornography a little bit here, and I understand that's kind of been a working topic you guys have had in this youth ministry, and so I know there's kind of a lot of, tense, whatever. Again, I want that kind of shame barrier to be released. This is a thing that just young people struggle with it, Old people struggle with it. Everyone struggles with it. Guys, girls, young, old. It's out there, and it's so accessible, and it's so easy to find. And our buddy Ryan's going to kind of talk through a little bit of why porn is a liar and kind of the lies and myths that come into once we, you know, if we're involved in that just the natural thought processes that happen and kind of walking in that. And so, again, I want this to be a safe place to talk about this. When you guys get to small groups as well, this is a great place to, like, share that kind of stuff. You'll find out you're not alone, and it's a great feeling to have, especially in a secluded problem as porn. So we're going to get into this a little bit, have this video play, and then I'll kind of talk some more. So watch this real quick.
It's no secret that pornography is everywhere, hanging out in your favorite social media app, YouTube, and on millions of websites, which is why I'm a pretty big fan of talking openly about this issue. Let's be honest, porn makes your brain feel good, but have you ever wondered why? That's what I hope to explain. To understand what porn does to us, it's important to understand your origin. You were made by God, a flesh and blood person that was also given a soul. You and each person you see are made up of the physical body that you can touch and feel, and the spiritual body, our soul, that you can experience by coming to know someone deeply. You can't separate the body from the soul. We are a composite, body and soul together. And because you are made by God, this body and soul is destined for eternity. Through its very design, the human body tells us exactly how love was intended to be experienced and expressed between men and women. Freely, openly, faithfully, our bodies were literally made for each other. And if you think about it, these same words, free, open, faithful, they also describe the oneness experienced in the Trinity between Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's as if God has formed deep truths about himself directly into his proudest creation, us. Okay, that explains our origin. What are we? We are made by God, who is love. And when you truly love God, others, and yourself, that's when you find your happiness, joy, peace, and fulfillment by being who you were created to be. So let's compare that understanding of us to our understanding of porn. Pornography is not a new issue. In Scripture, we read in 2 Samuel that King David caught sight of Uriah's wife, Bathsheba, as she was bathing. Due to what David saw, it gave birth to lust in his heart and ultimately pregnancy, shame, death, and deception. One reason porn pulls us in is because it's a counterfeit representation of the real, sacred act of sex. It looks and feels like the real thing, but that's exactly what sin wants us to believe. See, porn in our over-sexualized culture tells us the lie that we are primarily sexual beings and therefore require sex. But if we understand our origin, made by God for love, we see we are created for a divine purpose to express love. Reducing sex to a mere personal pleasure robs it of that divine purpose. And if we get this wrong, we end up making sex a god, something that we worship. And it cannot fully satisfy, only God can. Another reason porn pulls us in is because it promises sexual freedom and that anything and everything is permissible if it feels good. But the lie of sexual freedom is that by saying yes to everything, we're not able to say no to anything, which means we're actually less free and held captive by our passions and temptations. True freedom is experienced through obedience to God, understanding that we are His child, created by Him. Only then will we experience the abundant life promised by Jesus. Another lie that porn communicates is a message that sex is no big deal, even though many bodily expressions have great significance. A hug has meaning, a handshake has meaning, a high five, etc. They all have significance. The sexual act has immense significance because of that body-soul composite. Sex is meant to be a complete gift to the other that says, I love you, while porn merely uses the other as an object. In truth, casual sex is an oxymoron. There's no such thing. The sexual act forms a powerful union between men and women. The two become one. It's the joining of bodies and souls. And the brain supports this physical and spiritual connection by releasing powerful hormones intended to emotionally attach you to each other. Everything about sex is a very big deal. Finally, porn tells this lie to us. It's okay, you're not hurting anyone by watching. But do you really know what's happening on the screen? If you watch, you're approving of what's going on. What kind of hurt or harm is happening to the people involved? Is it tied in any way to sex trafficking or child sexual abuse? These are real questions with real impacts. Not to mention that viewing pornography overpowers your brain, releasing a potent chemical cocktail. And when your brain sees porn over and over, it starts to prefer pixels instead of real people. That's right. Over time, you won't even want a real person anymore, just porn. You're not hurting anyone? This is a lie of epic proportions. When you consider potential hurt happening on screen and to your brain, it's a lot to think about. It's not easy to avoid pornography's tug on our lives. But when we understand who we are, made by God, made for a divine purpose, made to love, then we can more easily recognize the lies that porn is telling us, and we can make different choices, which is what I truly want for each of you. Thanks, guys, so much for listening. It's been awesome getting the chance to talk to you. I'm Ryan.
So as he's talking about, yeah, right, give it up for Ryan. He's great. He's fantastic. He's amazing. But his content of what he's talking about there, right, is like the reality that a lot of people face is that, like, and I also want to release, like, it's not your fault. You know, this stuff is out there. It's so easy. Even if you've gone looking for it on purpose, it's not your fault. You know, it's there. Sometimes people feel so afraid to talk about it because they're like, I'm like, mom and dad, they're going to, you know, whatever, this person, they're going to, hey, it's okay. You know, it's tough to bring that up to someone that maybe can help you. It is so rewarding. It is so freeing to get out of that kind of stuff. And that's one thing that Jesus has done for my life is has kind of swapped that around. Because when we get into those lies, right, we look at how Jesus' perspective, love is selfless. Right? True, honest, godly love is completely selfless. Love is always about the other person. Always about the other person, what their needs are, what they, you know, want, what that looks like. It's always from that point of view. And so selfishness, right, the flip side of that, always being concerned about yourself, that harms others because you're not loving them. You're thinking only about yourself. You're doing only things for your own gratification. You're doing only things just that matter to you. And so porn isn't love. And that gets really mixed up because we think that we're like, well, our culture tells us that sex is love, right? So then porn must kind of be that, right? We know it's maybe not good and we feel, you know, whatever about it. But even in our culture, it's pretty accepted, right? I'm a guy, so talking to other people who aren't Christians who are guys, it's like conversations everywhere, you know? People talk about it. It happens. And then in the locker rooms, in the bus ride, right? Like, it's kind of everywhere. But it's not love. Right? It's not love. Porn and sex are very different. I've heard it described once before that sex is like a fire. Right? In the right place, say in the fireplace, right? Warms the house. It's amazing. It's great. Sustains life, creates life. You take that 3 inches out of the, right, 3 feet, whatever, out of the fireplace, burns down the whole house. Same thing, just in a different place, in a different space, right? And so I think the same even applies for sex, right? Like, in its proper place that God has put it, between the married man and woman, it's amazing. And it's what God has intended it to be. Humanity has kind of deformed it, and our culture especially is incredibly sexualized to the point where it's like, you give little Timmy an iPad, and it's pretty easy for him to find it, right? And so, like, if you're little Timmy, it's not your fault. It's okay. But now that you are aware of it, right, we can look at how, well, this too, right? This is also another point of view where it's like you're looking at that, it doesn't hurt anyone else. Or it's only hurting me, right? Also, if your argument is it's only hurting you, it's already kind of a like, well, then it's hurting you. That's still not good. But then the fact is that that's actually not even true. It could be harming a lot of people involved in what that industry does and what it looks like in terms of, I mean, are those people valued? Do they know that they matter? They're still children of God. They're just as equally created and important as you are. And they might be involved in something that they don't really have control of. That's pretty scary. You can choose to quit, right? I know, old meme, right? But it's still a good one. Epic do it kid, right? He's awesome. Right, but it is a choice. We have control of our choice. We don't always have control of what happens to us. We don't always have control of our emotional reaction to those things. But we do have a choice over our thoughts and our actions and our behaviors. And while it may take a while to kind of break that, and that's why it's really important just to talk to people, I mean, this was an issue in my life for a long time, and it wasn't until I started talking about it that it really, didn't become as much of an issue. Working with Protect Young Eyes, we're also very closely partnered with Covenant Eyes, which is a really great web browsing and VPN kind of service that is like an accountability service where it kind of tracks what you're doing online and will kind of send blurred screenshots to whoever is linked to that. So that has been a really helpful thing for me and my family. We all have it. We all use it. And it has worked really, really great. My counselor has always said, like, you can stop right now. You want to know how? It was like, what's the answer? He's like, give an accountability screen sharing thing with your grandma and you'll never do it again. It's like, oh boy, all right, counselor, we're having that conversation, But it's true, right? It goes back to the integrity piece of, like, if you're not strong in integrity, right? If you're only doing the good acts when people are watching, but when you're by yourself, you're kind of a different person. That's really hard. And that is where, right, the devil tries to get us, is when we're alone, when we're vulnerable, when we're weakest. And so if we eliminate that part of it, it just has no power over you. And then the biggest part is speaking that out when you realize there's no power over this. And so that's why we want to make it a normal conversation. We want to make it open, free. We don't want to have it filled with judgment. Like, well, we can't talk about that. It's like, no, like, it's everywhere, man. Of course we're going to talk about porn and sex. That's part of culture these days. And so it's important to how do we get the Christian perspective on it. And so what you see matters, right? What you look at matters. You don't really forget that kind of stuff. I know you guys can talk to any of the leaders about that stuff. You can come talk to me. I'll be here hanging out for a little bit afterwards. Small groups are a great place for that. Counselor, student counselor, for any of that kind of stuff. It's really, really great. Going along with that, what you say matters, right? Not only just in person, but also online, right? Have you guys ever read, like, if you're on Twitter, you know exactly what I mean. I don't have it for that reason, or if you're on, like, maybe Reddit or comment threads within an Instagram post or Facebook during a political season. My goodness, talk about mental health, right? There's so many things that we would say with our thumbs that we would never say with our tongues, right? There's tons of stuff that people say online they would never say in person. For whatever reason, this kind of gap between, like, you can say whatever you want online, but then you're in person, you're like, I don't really want to say that. How many of you guys know someone that posts stuff that they would never say in person? Yeah, how many of you are that person? You're like, oh, shoot, that's me. Yep, it's really easy, and so many people do that. That's kind of part of our culture and part of what we believe is valuable, right? We're like, we're going to post these things because it makes me feel good, but really, I would never say that in person. And so speaking of your school, of your church, of kind of what you're posting, what you're saying, that's probably where you guys hear the most stuff, right? I was homeschooled, so for me, for all my gamers out there, the playground was, game chat, and that's where I learned all my swear words, right? That's where people said stuff for me. Talk about a toxic place. So how would you rate the kindness of your guys' school, or how would you even rate the kindness of this youth group, right? Just hold up a number and just kind of think about that. Some 2s, 5, 1s. I imagine the low numbers are for the school and the higher numbers are probably for this place. Boy, we'll hope, right? 0, yeah. And so, are you a part of that number, either good or bad, right? Are you influencing that number? Because what you say matters, and you actually can directly have an impact on that number of what you're bringing to this youth group, what you're bringing to church. Are you the same on Wednesday nights as you are the rest of the week when you're in school? You kind of compartmentalized, and you're kind of, well, I'm school Isaac over here, and I'm, Isaac with my guy friends over here. I'm Isaac with my family and at church over this way, and, we just kind of keep it separate. We don't really want those to connect a lot, right? Really got to be thinking, like, well, is that really a good idea? Where's the kindness of your school? Is there someone you should apologize to? This one's really tough. A lot of summer drama probably happened, am I right? A lot of tea got spilled over the summer. A lot of things here and there. Is there a friend group that kind of cuts you out, or you cut someone out, or what does that look like, right? Is there someone you need to apologize to? I think oftentimes it's thought that by holding that in, you're like, I'm going to hold that in against them. That'll show them. They might be fine, and really it's destroying you. And so a lot of times going to that forgiveness actually releases so much inside of you. They might also be hurting though too. So really it's a win-win to forgive them. It really is. So think about that. Is there anyone I should apologize to? How can I make this number higher wherever I am, whatever I'm doing? Right? Because what you say matters. What you say matters. What you see matters. And what you send matters. Right? And so this one might get a little uncomfortable too. What you send matters, right? Whether that's like, funny memes on TikTok and you're sending all this stuff, that could also be really inappropriate memes and pictures you're sending. And it could even be pictures of yourself that you're sending, right? That's a pretty common practice, especially within youth culture and especially on Snapchat as well, right? It's late at night. They ask like, hey, send me a picture of yourself. And you're like, that's kind of daring. That's kind of exciting. I'm going to do it. And then you're like, holy smokes, I just did that. Do you know what happens afterwards? They screenshot it. They send it around. It can happen. I know in a few TV shows that I've seen, there's this character where she's in this relationship and it's kind of new, and then she's thinking of all these things. She's like, should I send him a picture? And so then she's kind of thinking, and then so she sends this guy that she's dating a picture, and he doesn't respond. And then she starts to feel horrible about herself. So then she sends this picture to this other guy who's not really great. And he responds right away. Gives her that attention she's looking for. And in the end, it kind of ruins both relationships, right? Some people know what show I'm talking about. That's funny, I think. Maybe not. But anyway, that's the reality that faces. There's so many things in that split-second moment, right, remember, your brains are still developing. The thought process and choices are honestly can be so skewed, and especially the three most, interesting places to be in is if you're in your room alone and you're bored and it's dark. Those three things in a developing brain, right, it's not your fault, it's just how it is. Those three things together is like pretty much anything goes, right? And so it's not your fault, but what you gotta remember, what you send matters. This is a great meme. Please send this. Send more of these kind of things. Maybe people are offended, but I love this. This is fantastic. That's a good meme. Weird meme format if you think too much about it. Don't think too much about it. So then Ryan's going to talk a little bit more about our digital footprints, how we are leaving footprints. Every time you send something, it's out there. You're like, but it's Snapchat, deletes in 10 seconds. Does it? Yeah, because the creators who try to get me hooked on this and spend 4,000 days in a row on it told me so. I don't know. It's pretty risky. Well, because they tell me when they screenshot it, hey, what do you do after? Hey, you screenshotted that. The fault safes aren't really good. Or even if it's just in terms of other things, like I know there's people that have lost their jobs from stuff that they've posted a while ago or things like that, right? You got to be smart on what you're saying in person and what you're saying online. Those should be the same thing. What you see matters, what you say matters, and what you send matters. Ryan's going to talk a little bit about that.
How good is your memory? For many adults, if you read them a series of digits, the average person can repeat back around 7 digits. Our devices, well, they have a slightly better memory than we do. Maybe you've heard the term digital footprint. It's the trail that we leave behind with the things that we post, comment, share, watch, and create online. Could be on YouTube, social media, or simply our search results. There's a record of our actions on our digital devices. So, question for you, is that a good thing or not? What might we find on your digital path? For example, have you ever just Googled yourself to see what's out there? Maybe you'll find new things. Maybe you'll find someone with your name who has a strong digital footprint. There's a lot of people with my name, including a boxer with a really cringy Twitter feed. Here's what we can be certain of when it comes to our digital footprint. It's constantly growing. Every click, tap, and post is creating this digital version of you that lives on servers all over the world. It's partially out of your control. When other people like your friends, companies, or groups you belong to track, post, and share information about you, it becomes a part of your footprint. It's mostly permanent. Because it is archived in a variety of ways and passed on by others, much of it doesn't ever go away. On the positive side, we can create an online identity that maybe furthers our influence as an athlete, academic, musician, gamer, artist, or whatever you might be into. Having a big online following can be a big deal and can even lead to big money. On the not so positive side, what happens when we say or do something that we're not proud of? Cancel culture is real, right? You don't have to search very far to find stories of kids whose lives were radically changed from one post, one comment, or one offensive meme. Look no further than the infamous group of prospective Harvard freshmen who were kicked out for posting horrible things online. Interviews with those former students show that some of them have been shunned by their families, and the damage to their lives has been very real. Some think this decision by Harvard was too harsh and that it violates their free speech. But just because you have the right to say it, that doesn't mean an employer or university has to allow it. These are private institutions that have the right to establish their own rules related to your conduct. I mean, let's just get really practical for a minute. There's a chance that your kids and grandkids will be the ones Googling you one day too. What do you want them to find? Just sit with that thought. Oh, and where do you think sending nudes fits into this? Will it stay between you or end up with others? It's a nude picture of you, just out there for anyone. Oh, and can I get real for a minute? To the guys, quit sending nude pictures of your junk. Let me let you in on a little secret. You're actually the only one who thinks that's cool. So I want to leave you with a couple of questions to ponder and discuss. Would I print out what I say and do online and hand it around to others? Would I want my future children to get their hands on the things that I say and do online? If you feel like your footprint is good and strong, then that's great. But be careful, it only takes one post to change everything. If you're pretty sure there's some not so amazing things on your digital path, then my encouragement to you is to start fresh today. Create a better path, one that you'd want your kids and future family to find. You can start creating that path today.
Yeah, all right. I know, I should have just had Ryan come, right? Why am I here? Let's get Ryan out here. No. But yeah, you are leaving digital footprints. Everything you send, everything you say is trackable for the most part by someone somewhere eventually if you narrow it down enough, right? And especially on some more public stuff that can be seen by a lot of people. By some more private things, maybe it isn't seen at all, or maybe it would be very difficult to, but it's out there somewhere. And so be smart with that. Be careful with that. Be smart and be careful with it, because you matter. This group deals with some pretty crazy stuff. This is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I want you guys just to follow my lead for a second. Just snap with me. Ready? I'm going to start snapping and just snap with me. Ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. That means you stop. You can't snap, so sorry. These are the numbers that group receives in terms of a picture or video that is of a child in regards to either sexual abuse or some kind of trafficking. So we have 65,400,000 a year, 179,000 a day, 7,000 an hour, 124 a minute, and every one of those snaps we did was 2. That's part of the industry that pornography is in. And so you see for the time I've been up here, it's been almost 7,000. So it just puts in perspective that it's real and it matters and it has an impact on lives, right? And so what you stand for matters. It's really easy to go to church, do all these things, say all this stuff, be like, yeah, and then in the locker room you laugh at a joke that's really bad. That matters. You gossip about that person because you have information and you want that attention. That matters. What you stand for matters. And if you stand for nothing, then you're going to fall for everything, right? You're going to fall for everything. And so there's a part of justice that plays into this, right, as well. I love your guys' generation with justice. You guys have such a good grasp on justice. I think this world has lacked good quality justice for quite some time. And your generation, gets it. To the point where, so I work at a youth center over in Grand Rapids. That's where I'm from. It's about an hour south of here. And I work at a youth center down there, and we'll be playing dodgeball. And I've never seen this before in any other generation except you guys, where they'll have one side that has all the dodgeballs, another side that has none of the dodgeballs. And the kids will start rolling the dodgeballs over to the other team. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just get them. It was a headshot. I'm like, you got hit by the ball, dude. I don't know what to tell you, right? Just get them out. And they're like, it's not fair. And I was like, whew. These kids care more about justice and dodgeball than like most adults with change do in wherever they're at, right? Like, it's like, I love it, and it comes from such a good place. So I want you guys to stick with that, because it's really, really important, whatever you stand for, whether that's at school, whether that's, on the bus, whether that's at even your own home and your own family, whether that's wherever you are, your justice, what you stand for is so, so important. Especially if someone looks back and goes like, why are they like that? Why do they push so hard for that? Why didn't they laugh at that joke? Why did they stand up for that kid, for that person? They come maybe learn a little bit, and like, oh, maybe you should check out Res Life. It's pretty cool, right? And again, going into what you guys have been talking about this whole week and this whole month, your mental health matters so much, right? And there's a lot of physical things that happen with that too. And so, again, super strong push that if you have anyone you can think of to talk to, when we often, with the younger kids, when we kind of talk to them about, like, if they see something scary or something that makes them uncomfortable online, we tell them to put it down and tell someone, right? That's what we kind of tell the younger kids. And so really what we also ask them is, then, who is that someone you can go to? So kind of the same question. Do you guys have that someone in mind when stuff gets really deep and really hard and you're like, dude, I messed up, I goofed, I did something horrible happened to me, someone else did, do you have that person you can go to? Someone that's maybe not like a friend or a sibling, someone maybe an adult influence in your life that's really impactful and can really help you unpack a lot of this stuff. It's a lot, guys. It's heavy, and it's so much worse to do it alone. The devil will lie to you and say, I can just keep this to myself. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. It might not be if you bring another person into that. So huge, 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 huge push for that. So remember, what you see matters, what you say matters, what you send matters, and what you stand for matters. This is very, very important. And so what's one thing that could maybe make you feel more valuable? You're like, well, gee, Isaac, I came here feeling great. Now I feel like a bunch of junk. Thank you. Like, okay, well, let's give you some practical steps, right? Like, what can you actually do in your life right now to make kind of a difference? Delete toxic people. Boom. Ask for a nude, block his butt. That's simple as it can be, right? Why'd you block me? Because you asked for a nude. Get out of here, right? And I get it, though, right? I get it. Like, you're in that mindset maybe, you got the boredom, darkness, and you're alone. You might be making some silly requests and maybe regretting that later, but regardless, delete toxic people, block them. This can be even in terms of friendships. It's going to be really awkward sometimes, especially if you go to school. I'm going to see them every day. It's like, well, how many of you guys have had a friend that, looking back on that relationship, you're like, yeah, actually, that was kind of a really bad friendship I never should have been a part of. Boom. Delete toxic people. I love going on Instagram. I don't know who you are. Unfollow. I don't really like anything you post. Unfollow. You unfollowed them? Yeah, I don't like anything they post, and I don't really want to hear from them. So, but you went to school with them. Okay. It's like, but you had a shared experience. Like, I don't like how they are online. I'm going to, it's my right to do that. Delete toxic people. Get them out of there. Sleep. Oh, my goodness. My phone right now is on sleep mode. It's a function you have if you're an Apple user. If you have Android, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. You like that one? You're the green bubble, so I actually am told that I don't like you. I'm just kidding. I have friends that have Samsungs. We love them too. No, it's okay. I'm sure there's some kind of setting on there as well, but you have the power to just turn off notifications on your phone. Better yet, buy an alarm clock, right? And then get your phone out of there. Have it charging in the living room or something. Don't be distracted by it. There's been studies that have been done that in school, if you get good sleep, you get better grades. Literally by doing nothing else but sleeping better, your academic performance will drastically improve. Try it. Get consistent 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You're like, what? You might have to go to bed at 11. Oh, no. Right? How many of you guys go to bed at 1 a.m.? I'll be honest. How many of you guys go to bed at 2? How many of you guys go to bed at 3? How many of you guys are like, I never sleep. It's impossible. Right? Yeah. It's tough. 8:30 at night, my man. 11:30. What really matters is it's less of when, it's actually if you're getting the consistent amount of sleep every time, right? So if you have to be up at 6:30 every day, how are you going to be able to get that consistent sleep? When do you have to go to bed? If you're like, I can sleep in because I'm homeschooled, hey-o, and you sleep until like 12, okay, not practical for real world stuff though. Sleep, very important. Breathing. I just have to back up real quick. Babies are so much better at this stuff than we are. Sleeping and breathing, that's all that. Sleep, breathe, eat, poop. That's all they do, right? So be like a baby, right? But breathing. Another thing that I've learned in counseling is this system of grounding. So when you're anxious, when you're going crazy, when your mind's running 100 miles an hour, there's things you can do that ground you. And one of the things that I've gone over in counseling is called box breathing. How many of you guys know what box breathing is? A few of you. Okay, I'm gonna do some box breathing with y'all real quick, all right? So what it is we're gonna breathe in for 4 seconds, we're gonna hold that for 4 seconds, we're gonna let go of that breath for 4 seconds, and then we're gonna hold it again for 4 seconds. You do that 4 times, right? So we'll do it a few times, maybe not the whole 4 times, and I'll kind of lead on with these fingers here. So watch my fingers and follow my leading, right? So kind of you're like, oh gosh, I'm so aware of my breath right now. Thanks, this sucks, right? All right, so breathe in with me. Hold. Get COVID lungs, breathe out. Hold. Do that again. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Let's do it one more time. So breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Man, that feel good. This is a breathe. I mean, if that's not proof that like God has made you, like that's so awesome we have that. It really just relieves so much stress, so many things. You have an anxious decision to make. Just take the time just to breathe. Yeah, meditation. It's really great practice. Hug people. If you have someone that you feel comfortable hugging and they're okay with you hugging them, you have my permission. Just give them a big hug, right? Give them a hug. Tell them you matter, all that kind of stuff. It's been proven that if you, nobody cares about Keith. I appreciate it. My guy. All right. Air hugs to the tech team back there. Yep. We're built for community. We are made for community. Having that physical contact is so, so good. Hug people. I feel like when you're a kid, you get hugs all the time. And then you grow up a little bit and you're like, hugs aren't cool. And then you get back and you're like really sad. You're like, I miss hugging people. Hugs are good. Especially COVID times. How many of you guys like were like hugged that much during COVID? We went on like a whole 2 years without that. That's brutal, man. That's brutal. 1 year, I guess we're doing it now, so it's 2022. Ha. Hug people. It's a really great thing to do. Take a break from the screen. My gamers out there, this is me actually telling you, go touch grass. That's actually, whoa. Yeah. That is actually what it means. Get outside. Get outside. Take a break from it, right? I'll dare you to do something. You won't. Delete your social media. Oh, you won't. Bet. Take a break from the screen, right? Really great. Go read a book, go outside, go hang around. I mean, and then, yeah, get some help. Take a stand for your well-being. Take a stand to better yourself. You know, and if people come to you and they judge you, like, you're going to counseling, be like, yeah, I care about my mental health enough and I care about who I am enough to take care of myself in a way that's going to benefit me in the future. So me in the past going to look back and say, good job. That was a really good decision, right? Take that stand. If you need help, like I said, any of us leaders will more than willing to help you down that journey. We can try to be that person for you. At some point, maybe professional help is needed, and other points, maybe it's not. We can help figure that out with you too. I know Keith is here. I know plenty of other leaders are here for you. I'll be here as well at Chit Chat afterwards. But yeah, it's really important. Really, take it seriously. Take your well-being seriously. And remember, you know, who am I? I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That's such a great truth to live into. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And knowing that, like, God made me, and God made me with a purpose. God made me so I matter. I'm the one for whom Christ died. And so maybe we get to this slide, and you're thinking, I don't really know a whole bunch about this Jesus guy. Like, I see this, and I know it's important, because it's been said that it's important, but it doesn't really mean much for me. And if that's you, I have a pretty special prayer we're going to do here in a second they'll kind of say some stuff about, like, maybe I want to experience what that's like. I've heard about God's love. I've heard about how he died for me. I heard about all these things that Jesus has done for me, but I just have never taken that step to accept it. I've never taken that step to be like, you know what, God, like, my life's in your hands. You know what, God, like, I'm going to trust you. You know what, God, I'm going to believe in you for the first time, for real. Not because my parents forced it on me, not because I grew up in the church, but because I honestly want to know what this is about. So if that's you, I have a really special prayer that I'm going to do in a second. And while we're doing that prayer, I'm going to have you raise your hand at one point when our eyes are closed, just to signify that this was maybe the first time you've done that. Because that's a pretty big deal, and that's really cool. That's probably the best decision you ever make, right? Honestly, I can say that 100% confidence. It'd be the best decision you ever make, to put your life into God's hands, and to trust him, have Jesus come into your heart, accept him, believe him, follow him. You won't regret it. You will not regret it. And then after that, well, actually, during that too, if you're like, well, I have done this, but, like, I feel pretty distant from God right now. I don't feel like we connect the way we did when I was young and I, threw the stick in the fire at, camp and, forgave my sins and all these things. It's like it doesn't feel the same anymore. Then I want to offer that you also, like, have a point of recommitment to this. And it's like, you know what, God, like, I was there, I did that, I know this. I need you again. Let's do it again. Let's come back into this relationship. Then I want to offer this is a point where you can give up those sins, of those things of, like, yeah, God, I've been in porn, and it sucks, and it's hard, and I don't know what to do, and I'm freaking out because I feel gross, but I keep doing it regardless. Right in Romans, it says, like, I do what I don't want to do. The bad things I don't want to do, I do them, and the good things that I do want to do, I don't do them. I'm doing the exact opposite of what I want to be doing. My life's not where I want it to be. I don't like what I see. I don't like what I do. I don't like who I am. If that's you, then I want you to pray this with me. I want you to pray this with me. So bow your heads with me and repeat after me in your head, right? Like, dear Jesus, I've messed up. I've sinned by accident, on purpose. I've had things happen to me that are out of my control. I've let some things inside that I shouldn't have. Held some grudges. Been a bad person. But I know that you're better. And I know that you love me. I know that you made me. Maybe there's some confusion. I don't know all the answers. I don't know all the things. But I really, really, really want to give you a chance. I really want to see what this is about. I want my life to be better. So God, come into my heart. Come into my life. I invite you. It's open. Change me. Change me from the inside out. Change me so that I love other people. Give me your eyes, give me your ears, give me your hands, give me your feet. God, let Jesus rule my life. Let me surrender these things I've been holding on to. God, forgive me for my sins. I'm sorry. And then thank you, God. Thank you for this gift you've given me. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for sending Jesus on the cross to take my place. That is amazing. I want to experience, I want to be different. I don't want to be the same. If that was your first time, keep your eyes closed, heads bowed. That was your first time accepting that, kind of in that moment, or if that, right, raise your hand for me. Raise your hand for God, just real quick. All right, you can put them down. If that was a recommitment, raise your hand for me real quick. Amazing, awesome. You can put that down now too. That's so, so good. That is so, so good. Yeah, we can just take a good breath there. All right. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So I do have another quick video I'm going to show for you guys. Just kind of sums up everything we've talked about here tonight. So I'm going to show that, and then Keith will come back up here and kind of dismiss us. All right, so we're going to watch this other video, and then that'll be that. Oh, did I skip it? This is it. Audio's really quiet at first. Here you go. good thing to see and to watch, right? So you matter. Remember, look back at that same person, tell them you matter, bug them, poke them, whatever. You guys are super important. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been a really great pleasure to be here talking with you guys. I was hanging out playing foosball with Mason. He was throwing some crazy spins. I was watching guys play chess and doing all this other stuff, hang out with the leaders for a second too. So thank you guys for your hospitality, welcoming here. Remember that you matter, you are important. What you say, send, stand for, and see all matter, and use those things wisely. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand it back over.
Let's give it up for Isaac one more time here. Yes. So like he said, we're going to still dismiss to small groups, but he'll be out there in the foyer with me too. So if you want to talk to him at all, ask him any questions, he'll be hanging out for a while. But we're going to go ahead and dismiss. I will say, if you raised your hand, that was the first time you did that, or even a recommitment, or if you have questions about that, we have a couple leaders up front. Troy and Bethany are here if there's any questions you have. If you made Jesus Lord tonight, made that decision, we'd love to be praying with you. We'd like to get your name so we can be praying over you. And I said answer any questions you have as well. So right now is the time of night where I invite you up so we can dismiss. So y'all can get on your feet. If you want to join me on stage, you can. So while they're coming up here, for small groups, guys all stay in this room in this worship center. Ladies go out into the rest of the church. If you're new, you don't know, we do it by age level, by your grade level. So just find a leader. We'll point you to your correct grade